All right, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my fight summary on the fight that took place yesterday in the sport of boxing between Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois. So it was Oleksandr Usyk that became a two-time undisputed heavyweight champion, knocking out Daniel Dubois in the 5th round to take Daniel Dubois' IBF world title, to make himself the only man in boxing history in the four-belt era to be a two-time undisputed champion in the welterweight division. So I'll be sharing my thoughts on the fight that took place yesterday. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Oleksandr Usyk is an incredible fighter, amazing fighter, Hall of Fame talent. And he had a great performance against Daniel Dubois, earning the knockout victory again against Daniel Dubois in the rematch. And the game plan was great for Oleksandr Usyk in this fight against Daniel Dubois, fighting in different lateral movements. The footwork was on full display, fighting off the back foot, fighting coming forward, fighting in different lateral movements, giving Daniel Dubois fits as long as the fight lasted in that heavyweight championship fight. But he was doing great, boxing off the back foot. A lot of people don't understand how great Oleksandr Usyk is boxing off the back foot. You think you have him in danger when you're fighting coming forward? That's actually one of his best skill sets, boxing off the back foot. And he showed that yesterday against Daniel Dubois. Did a good job landing the jabs, the counter punches. He gave Daniel Dubois so many problems in that fight yesterday. But then Oleksandr Usyk opened it up in the 5th round, displaying his own power that has translated from the cruiserweight division up to the heavyweight division. Landed the knockdown with the right hand on Daniel Dubois. And then towards the end of the round, he landed that clean, picture-perfect left hand shot, that left hook that sent Daniel Dubois to the canvas. The sweat came flying off his bald-ass head. The mouthpiece came flying out, and Daniel Dubois went crashing down to the canvas. The referee, by the time the referee got to the count of 5, I knew Daniel Dubois was not getting his ass up. He had him cooked. And therefore, Oleksandr Usyk is now a two-time undisputed heavyweight champion. Third time in his illustrious Hall of Fame career that he's became an undisputed champion. Remember, he was an undisputed champion of the cruiserweight division. Now he's done it twice at the heavyweight division, holding all the championships, all the glitz, all the glamours at this respective heavyweight division. So, honestly, I was thinking, what the hell did we really get this rematch for? Because if Daniel Dubois wasn't the IBF champion, there was clearly no reason for this rematch. Because out of the 14 rounds that Usyk and Dubois shared the ring with each other, 13 out of 14 rounds, Usyk won the rounds against Daniel Dubois, and he knocked them out twice. And I know in the first fight between Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois, that questionable body shot, I think that body shot did land on the belt line, which should have been a knockout. But if you remove that type of drama, Oleksandr Usyk wiped him out in the first fight, won all 9 rounds, and then made him quit off a jab. Then fast forward to yesterday, you had Oleksandr Usyk make Daniel Dubois quit, but this time with his own lethal power that is translated from cruiserweight and moved up to heavyweight. And that's the only reason why this rematch only had any type of spark or it had any interest. I mean, I know Daniel Dubois was on a hot streak, winning several fights and coming off the biggest victory of his career last year, knocking out Anthony Joshua in the 5th round. But other than that, there's levels to this game, and Oleksandr Usyk is clearly levels above Daniel Dubois. If they fought each other 350 times, it would be Oleksandr Usyk defeating Daniel Dubois 350 times. Daniel Dubois, don't get me wrong, Daniel Dubois did have a good game plan walking down Oleksandr Usyk. At times, he was out of position, walking into punches. Footwork was not the best. I think he wasn't aligned upright footwork wise with Oleksandr Usyk. Nobody's beating him in the professionals, but if somebody's going to defeat him, you got to have some type of footwork, and didn't have any type of footwork. The footwork was not his best. The jab was not getting home. The explosive jab that does have some flavor and some pop to it was not getting home to Usyk. And Usyk did a good job defensively, blocking out anything that Daniel Dubois tried to do, fighting in the inside, avoiding the power shots and the shots at the body. I think he got one body shot in, two that kind of disrupted Usyk a little bit, but he got back on track. But honestly, this was a one-sided rematch, and the rivalry between Usyk and Daniel Dubois should be over from here on out. It's been one-sided in both of these respective fights. But now looking at it, Oleksandr Usyk's heavyweight run has been legendary. I gotta say, guys, it's not impossible to think Oleksandr Usyk is not one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. his heavyweight run has been honestly historic. It's been great. It's been phenomenal. Naturally, after going undisputed the cruiserweight division, going to the heavyweight division, he's now 7-0 in this heavyweight division. The first ever fighter to become a two-time undisputed heavyweight champion in the 4-belt era. And now he's a 3-time undisputed champion in his illustrious boxing Hall of Fame career. He will go to the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. But he's defeated Anthony Joshua twice at heavyweight. He's defeated Tyson Fury twice at heavyweight. Two of the greatest heavyweights that we've seen in this generation of boxing as of now. Some of the all-time greats, I should say. And then he knocked out Daniel Dubois twice. So not insane to put him up there with one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, with Muhammad Ali, Leonard Lewis, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson. Those names, it's not impossible to think that Oleksandr Usyk is in the conversation in the same breath as them. I'm not saying he's better than those respective heavyweights, but in big-time moments, he shines, and he just gets better and better each performance. And this man is 38. This man is not a youngster at the heavy. He's 38, having his way in the prime of his career. So you guys got to give him his flowers about that. But I believe that Usyk is the best fighter in the world right now. I'll be having my new pound-for-pound rankings for you guys probably very soon. But I got to say he's #1 in the world. And that's no disrespect to Noye Inoue or Terrence Crawford. Now, you got to have, however you do your pound-for-pound rankings, you got to have them top three. You can have it however you want. But those three need to be in anybody's pound-for-pound list. But I think based off of what he's done in this legendary run, I think he deserves to be pound-for-pound #1. And championship success speaks volumes and reasons why you're on the pound-for-pound list. So I think he deserves to be #1. To close out this segment, what's next for Oleksandr Usyk? I think Oleksandr Usyk needs to fight Joseph Parker. And Joseph Parker has been on a hot streak at the heavyweight division. He's the interim WBO heavyweight champion. And he's been patient waiting for his moment. He did defeat Deontay Wilder, Zhang, and Bakole in his last 3 fights. And honestly, in February, he was supposed to fight Daniel Dubois, but for the IBF championship, but Daniel Dubois ended up getting sick, and Bakole became a 48-hour last-minute replacement. So Tyson Fury, there's no reason to get a trilogy between himself and Usyk. The first fight was close. The second fight was very lopsided. I scored that fight 8 rounds to 4 in favor of Usyk in the second fight. So there's no need for Tyson Fury to get a immediate rematch with Usyk for a trilogy. He just lost 2 of his last 2 professional fights. So I think it makes sense for Tyson Fury to fight Anthony Joshua next. If you're not fighting Anthony Joshua, I don't know what route Tyson Fury does coming out of his so-called retirement next year in the sport of boxing. Plus, I don't really believe that Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul fight is really going to happen. That's just Turkey Al-Sheikh just wanting Jake Paul to just get massacred in a boxing ring. And honestly, that's a waste of time because there's levels to this game, and Jake Paul can't even beat Tommy Fury. What the hell makes you think he deserves to be in the ring with one of the greatest heavyweights of this generation, Anthony Joshua? So I don't know where Tyson Fury goes from here. A rematch does not appeal to me, and it probably won't be in the cards with Usyk. I think he should target a fight with himself and Anthony Joshua. I don't know why that's so complicated to make that fight happen. That's a fight we should have got years ago, and we're both from the UK. Some of the greatest fighters in UK history, they should fight at Wembley Stadium. So I think that's the route that we should see next at the heavyweight division. We should get Parker versus Usyk next in an undisputed heavyweight championship fight, and get Joshua versus Fury sometime soon by the end of the year 2026. But that is my Oleksandr Usyk versus Daniel Dubois fight summary.